back a little bit because the last shot did not go well. Let's see if this works rather well. I am using a Sony, what's the brand number here? SRX B, SRSX B13, which is a 360 Bluetooth speaker, which should include a microphone. Now, the reason why I insist on using a microphone is because I might be delving into quite possibly sensitive subjects. Not that sensitive, but sensitive to a certain individual, perhaps. And the main reason is, well, there's a lot of main reasons. Alright, now let's start the show how I really want to start it, which I might include that clip too, because like I said, this clip is just going to be all over the place. So there we go. If you can see that, if you have a good memory, memorize that. That's what flashcards are for. And that right there, ladies and gents, that will tell you what it is that we all want in life. It's love. Just like Method Man said, nothing makes a man feel better than a woman. Okay? And I decided to show that because I was having a convo with Mariah about what I don't remember, but this will take me down to my next in this card that I did. Mariah, go to answer. Anytime I ask her something, and I truly feel like she does know the answer, or she has, an answer to give. But this is her signature catchphrase. This is more, and I even quoted her on saying it. You guys see that there? 3 words. I don't know. Now, if I was to tell you how many times she's told me that, I could be sitting here all night. One of the reasons why I asked her about that was because I remember hearing when I was younger a phrase, and it went like this. It said, hugs, not drugs. And as everyone who watches this channel is aware, to the few of you, thank you. I think we have enough to fill maybe a living room if everybody was almost like space to space, I guess. I don't know. I know that City Nerd does it comparing stadiums, but he just got to a stadium that was 118 fans. Actually, it was located here in the US of A. So he had passed Camp Now. I think I missed that episode. But anyways, today has been a crazy and eventful night. Where do I even begin? Okay, there are essentially 3 different households in this house. We have Mariah and her daughter, of which I am not part of the household legally. Myself, I'm in my own household, even though I should be dependent to my parents and my parents. Mom was eligible for supplemental nutritional assistant program. Supplemental nutritional something program. I don't know. And what really troubled me because I guess Kim figured it out. Kim has been eligible for a while. So, but keep in mind that she claims Mariah because she's her daughter, justly so. So I just found out because since my mom got her and she's an individual. An individual now, because of hyperinflation, receives roughly about 285, I believe. Kim receives about like 700, and I heard her say the other day she had 900. Now, allegedly, the reason why she concerns herself so much with her SNAP balance is because she has a good friend of hers who will buy food with her benefit card and pay her dollar for dollar. On the streets, usually people do 50 cents to the dollar. But this guy, he's known her his whole life. I actually mentioned him in one of the descriptions. So if you're a sharp-eyed viewer, maybe you can find out who it is. And if I split all the videos together, you guys might hear bickering in the background. Not full on yelling, because, like, for instance, she comes home with the food. Sometimes she might buy things that are not needed. Not always. That's one thing that kind of bothers me, because I can always just walk to Publix and get food right there, like I did today. I went to Publix. I got and keep in mind, this is with my own money, and the reason why I say that is because it hurts my pockets knowing that I have to pay approximately $500 a month so that I can see a psychiatrist, get medication for my manic depression, bipolar, medication for my panic attacks, anxiety disorder, medication for my coming off of opioids. I do not do methadone. So what I do is a partial agonist opioid. It's called buprenorphine. In other words, it does not interact with all of the receptors in the brains that are designed for opioids. It only interacts with a certain number of them. But for some reason, Kim says that when I do, it's called, the brand name is Subutex. When I do the Subutex, I'm like all of a sudden better and I'm doing way good, while she's the one that's doing the full agonist opioid. Give me a break. I don't think it has anything to do with the medication. I think it has to do with this right here. One time I was reading a story, and towards the back of the book, it said there was a saying that I will never forget. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna put it down on one of these cards. Because I feel like it deserves to not only be said out loud, but also to be read. If it's true what they say, that when you read and hear something, as opposed to just hearing it, you have a better chance of retaining that knowledge. So the saying goes like this: a grateful heart is a happy heart. It may have been a thankful heart is a happy heart. I forget. Now, this is not scripture. If I remember correctly, I read this from a book, and I believe the name of the book was titled "Don't Look Back, You're Not Going That Way," which is essentially telling you, move forward in life. The only times I insist on, focusing on history is when there's something that can be learned about it. That way, maybe we don't have to make the same mistakes again. So, here's the card that I made. As you can see right there, a grateful heart is a happy heart. Sorry guys, the flashlight from the phone made it so that some letters cannot be seen. I am able to splice all of the scenes together, I want you guys to, I want to take a toll. I'm going to write the question right here. I don't even want to say it out loud. Let me put a line so you can see what the question is. Kim is Mariah's mom, my better half. And the reason why I say that is because I might have said it in one of the other scenes. There's a question mark at the end. So here are the two answers to this poll. If I do splice it together and some of the scenes go together, it might make sense as to why I'm asking this question. So, in case you can't read it, I'm gonna say it low into what I believe is the mic on here. And what it says is, does Kim have a grateful heart? And you can just reply, if you're so inclined to, in the comments, yes or no. And the reason why I ask that is because it's just a lot of times that, for instance, right now, I went into the room and I spoke to Mariah. I asked her if she needed anything. And then I told her, I said, Mariah, I am proud of you for the way you handled the situation, because, you know, mom was rather being, not acting like an adult, let's say. I told Mariah that she's a child, and because of the fact that she's a child, you know, sometimes she might do childish things, you know. That's just because she's a child, you know, that's how children are. But just because children are children, an adult, it should not give them a reason to be quick to anger. And there was one more thing that I said. The adults should not put blame on the child for acting the way they do. You know, they're children, and children act like children sometimes. Yes, they go to school, they get good grades, they learn. Sometimes they impress us with what they learn and how good of grades they get. But at the end of the day, when they come home, they're still children, you know. In this country, it's up until the age of 18. I don't know how it is in other countries. As far as that one country, I heard that it was 25. That may have been from when I read The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, because she was an orphan, and she had like an orphan family look after her until she turned 25, if I remember correctly. I read the whole trilogy, highly recommended it, recommended. It's not quite a YA novel. It's a little bit long, but it was very interesting. That's probably one of the best books I read to this day. Even better than 50 Grades of Shade, which is just sex. So, what else do I have to say tonight? Before I start doing this splicing. Mariah, if you see this video, please work on this, please, okay? Alright? You have to be able to help us. You know? We want to help you, But if all you're giving us is this, we can't. There's no way for us to help you if we don't know what's bothering you, what happened to you, or what it is that's causing the problem in your life. So try to turn this I don't know into, well, this happened, and then after that, anything but, please. And before I change the scene, Messi might start playing at the end of next month. I just want to say that real quick. I read an article that they're doing the tournament between the Mexican League and MSL. Therefore, he wasn't expected to play as early as August. But now, Dad said that in the news, they said he might play in late July. So I have to go by what he says. Mariah, what I said earlier, I said that because we love you and we want to help you in any way we can. And I was gonna put this up to end it, but there's another thing that's bothering me that I kind of want to talk about. Before Kim moved to this house, she lived in approximately 7 different houses. One was her best friend, other people she knew. One of them was a friend of her friend's, her friend that gives her rides to the store, and they have that little arrangement going on so that she's able to make money. And when she moved there, the house I don't think it had running lights or water. Essentially, the lady was squatting in the house. Now, somebody squatting in the house to have company, you would think that's golden. They were just there by themselves. Now they have somebody to hang out with. Not even that person wanted Kim to stay there. Allegedly, they made an excuse about how the owner was coming or something, so she had to leave. So Dad invited Kim to come and visit for the weekend to see our daughter. In my opinion, a smarter idea would have been to take Mariah to go visit Kim, be it at a park or something. But, the past is the past. All we can do now is focus on the future, try to see how we can make things better. I still want to believe in miracles, but the fact that Kim says that I don't love her, let's go through some of the boyfriends that she had. This one guy, I think he used to sell, well, first let's start with the first one, which is my sister's father. Now, everything I'm saying, I heard from sources that were close to, their family. But if I was to say this to Kim, she would defend herself. She would say, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Mind your own business. You don't have to put this out there. It's not even true. She would just deny the whole thing. But one day, when I was hanging out with Layla, because remember, when I first met Kim, I think I first met Grandma, then Layla, then Kim. Kim wasn't very present. She just wasn't present, meaning that the child was basically taken care of by Grandma or whoever was courteous enough to do something for her, and you take her out to eat or anything. I took a real liking to her because I knew that she had something special. She was a special child. Now, don't get, sick thoughts. I'm not a pedo, even though Kim will say she is. That's another thing that she said about me, which should really trouble me, but at this point, I don't even let it bother me anymore. Just because half the things she says, I don't even let it bother me anymore. But Layla was a very gifted child. One of the first things I knew that for because she knew how to play an instrument. For the most part, when kids learn how to play instruments, they tend to display uh, characteristic traits in the future that can help them, whether academically or, you know, maybe performing in front of a crowd. They can get entertainment, anything, you know. So she learned how to play the guitar pretty quick from Papa Mike, bless his soul. Um, in about 2 months, it's gonna be. Did he die last year or the year before? I apologize, but I can't remember. I know he passed away in August, and you know, that was sad. He was teaching during the times that he had off because he spent a lot of time in prison. You know, he would teach his granddaughter how to play, and she was really good at it. Another thing too is she was well on her way to learning Spanish, which is good. It's always good to learn another language. What she would do is she would like pick a song that's in Spanish, and then she would just start singing it in Spanish. Whether she knew it or not, I don't know. But just the fact that she was able to, I mean, it is a phonetic language. So if you give me an Italian book, in about 2 or 3 days, I'll be speaking Spanish. I'll be speaking Italian. Whether I understand it or not, that's a different thing. But nonetheless, that was still very impressive for a girl her age. She was probably 9, maybe 10 at the most at that time. And yeah, so I don't know what happened with that, but in my opinion, that was kind of sad because she had a very bright future in front of her, and like I said in one of the comments before, she still does have a bright future, even though the fact that now I hear that she's allegedly pregnant. And what kind of troubles me about that, is because I talked about her, I believe, in the video that got mom upset, and I quickly mentioned about how not having a stable role model going back to the story about the sudden dad, changes. Let's talk about that for a minute. I was hanging out with Layla. We were hanging out with a friend who had 2 daughters, and you know, they would look out for Layla, you know, give her baths and stuff, you know, because like I said, a lot of the time Kimmy wasn't present that I knew of. She was present sometimes, you know, maybe in the very beginning at first, but after a while she went back to her old ways. The reason why I think this is because this is a story that was told to me by someone who had no reason to lie and no reason to make it up. But it started off like this. She said, "Layla, you deserve to know the truth about your dad. Your dad is a good man. The problem was that after Kim gave birth, she started going back to her old ways. And Layla's father, Herson, who seems like to be a good man, you know, he works hard, which is a very good quality. And him and Kim would get in a lot of disagreements because he wanted Kim to clean up her act, you know, because it's essentially essential. If you're going to be a mother, you want to be present, and when I mean present, you want to be there without the influence of a medication that was not given by a doctor. If you have a child and a doctor gives you a medication, I'm sure that they're gonna know how that's gonna affect you and rearing your child. So they may or may not prescribe it. If they do, they may or may not suggest not to breastfeed. But the problem is that, according to the story, when the story was told, Kim did not want to give up her lifestyle. So during that time, I'm going to refer to him from now on to Mr. Alfred, because that's his name, if I remember correctly. During that time, Mr. Alfred, you know, was working at Denny's, to help out around the house. He was still living with Kim, mom. I believe Papa Mike was in jail. I'm not sure. And one time they got into, allegedly, according to Kim, a fight where he threw a plate at her. But like I said, everything that Kim says, I take with a pile of salt, with a grain of salt, because a lot of the things that she says, even Mariah will say it. Now, kids do sometimes make things up, so that's also, you gotta also take that with a pile of a grain of salt. But if Mariah is, corroborating the stories of what adults can see that are happening, it kind of makes you wonder, maybe she's not making it up. Long story short, during that time, Mr. Alfred was not too familiar with, just working and, things that entail paying federal taxes, paying local, state taxes if applicable, things like that. And I'm not too sure if he was aware about tax returns. Maybe he was, but Kim beat him to it. So as soon as she received the money, the tax money from his work, she went to her brother, whose name is also Michael, just like Papa Mike, and had him hand Mr. Alfred, did I say Mr. Wilson before? It's Mr. Alfred. Hand Mr. Alfred a bus ticket to New York City, because that's where the rest of his family was, and said that you are no longer welcome here. You have to go. So here's your one-way bus ticket to go live with your family. During the meantime, Kim kept the money, from what I understand, from what the story that was told, from the tax return. I think she may have bought a vehicle at the time. If I have gone through about 5 vehicles in my life, Kim has gone through about 20, maybe 25. Part of the reason is because her brother and her late father, bless his soul, they were, they go to car auctions, they buy and sell cars. I never did any of that. I just, my first car was a hand-me-down that mom and dad drove, and then the first car that I owned, it just so happened to be owned by this. She was a model. It was Daisy Fuentes. I forget her name now, but she was a model. It wasn't Cindy Crawford. It was not Eva Longoria, no. But nonetheless, she purchased a vehicle for her parents, I guess when she was making money. It was a 1987 Lincoln Town Car. I love that car. We called it the Titanic. Reasons for which I'll get there later. And now that we're talking about cars, I want to talk about other cars that I have. When I was working 2 jobs, I saved up money. I started looking at Mercedes and at Lexuses. I really didn't care for BMW that much. At the end of the day, you know how they talk in various. Well, they talked on this one channel. I don't know if it was Dr. Muro or if it was doing the media, but they talk about the price of the car, and then during the course of 10 years, how much how much maintenance is gonna run you that car. So some cars within 10 years time, the maintenance is low, like 10-15% the value of the car. But one car was like 39%. I think it was like maybe the BMW SUV. It's ridiculous. So I think I went with a Lexus. I'll never forget that. That was one of the funnest times in my life. It was 2003. I think I was about 21 years old. I didn't have a good enough credit, so I had to go sign with my dad. But you know, both our names were on the title. Since he was the one with better credit, the tag, it had his birth month on it as opposed to mine. And that car was beautiful. It was a 2003 Lexus ES300. So it was a 3-year-old car. Some people call it like a baby Camry, which it is, except with the luxurious options. You know, you got your leather seat, your wooden steering wheel, you know, all the little extra perks. You got I think it had a CD player, or was that another car? Like a multi-disc CD player. Sunroof, of course, and the sound system, for a stock sound system on that car, it was amazing. It actually had, I think it was like a 6x9 in the back. But anyway,
It was actually a 6-inch
after that,
subwoofer.
and shortly after I bought the car, actually, I may have bought the car in 2002, but shortly after, in 2003, I went to Colombia, fell in love with Colombia. I came back home. I was working my second job. I was under the underpass. I told this story before. Started crying to a Bob Marley song, thinking, what am I doing with myself? All I do is work. So I went back to Colombia, but this time, instead of just continuing to be in love with the place, I fell in love with one of my cousins. And then that started a big old ordeal. So for like the next 7 years, I would just work 3-4 months and then go spend 3-4 months there. It was quite an experience. I took a couple lessons at the Alliance de Francais. They only have 2 schools here I believe in the Americas. They have one in New York and one in Barranquilla. I saw the Carnival of Barranquilla, which was awesome. I had a lot of fun. Nightlife was pretty fun, but it didn't even have to be night. It could be daylight, and they could have music on, people dancing. I took private dancing classes from this nice young lady to learn how to dance salsa. So by the end of the time, I was dancing salsa. It was nice. I probably wouldn't be able to do it now, you know, unless I practice my butt off, and then I need a partner. So going back to all the things now, because I probably recorded now for like 20 minutes, that I'm going to add, possibly after this clip. I spoke with Mariah. She wouldn't speak back to me. She just said she just didn't feel comfortable with, you know, like when I give her hugs. She says maybe like one a day, but you know, I would prefer like 2 or 3, at least 2 maybe, you know. And not just to show her that I love her, because there's other things that I do, you know, to show her that I love her. You know, attend to her needs. Obviously, she's a child. You know, as well as mom too. Except might attend to them a little differently. Like for instance, when Mariah was 8 years old, she had gotten a referral to go see a a certain type of doctor because she had like prepubescent puberty or something. Never went to see that referral. I mean, never used that referral to see that doctor. 2 years later, our daughter gets strep throat, and the only appointment that they had was at 8:05 in the morning. Mariah wakes up at 7. She gets ready in about 20 minutes. Mom started crying, saying she doesn't have enough time to get ready. So I took our daughter there. It was in and out. After that, we stopped by the school. I excused that day. I had already excused the day before, but I didn't bring a paper. But nonetheless, they still excused it because I still showed up. And I excused it mostly because I didn't want to receive that 6 o'clock phone call. I hated those calls. But this year, she almost had a perfect absence except those 2 days that were excused because she had strep throat. And after that, we went to the pharmacy, got her antibiotics. After like the second day, she was already feeling well enough that she did not need any like Tylenol and or Advil. You know, they were saying to switch it up, but by the second day she wasn't needed it. So they said if in 24 hours she doesn't need it anymore, she can go back to school. She went back to school that Monday, and everything went smoothly. You know, not an issue, not a problem. And Mariah did do a tele-doctor visit with the doctor the other day with Mariah, and this had to do with I think there was according to mom, which like I say always take things with a grain of salt. There was like a bacterial infection forming on the skin, which that could have been the case, or it could just have been that Mariah spends a lot of time on the bed, especially now during winter break. If you don't wash your sheets often, they get dirty, and you have your head against those sheets a lot of the time. So yeah, you know, the pores in your head, you know, they absorb all that dirt. It could have just been that too. We don't know, but according to mom, it was something else. Take it with a grain of salt. And also, mom, being a guest at this house, she acts like, you know, she is, what's a good way to call it? I don't know. I guess like she runs the place. Okay? Just right now, she said to me, oh, my ID says that I live here, so this is my room too. So I replied to her, okay, I'll just move your stuff to the garage. And she's like, no, you're not. That's Mariah's room. If Mariah wants her stuff out of the room, we'll move it to the garage. She's still living in the house. Okay? But, you know, it's just a lot to deal with. A lot. I even bought her, one of the things that I enjoy the most is spending time with the family outside, whether it be my favorite activity is going walking, but because I don't know if because of weight gain or just bad knees, Kim can now barely walk. She has a walker, so I don't know what the purpose of that is, if it's not functioning or it doesn't help her walk. But I even convinced Mariah, who never wants to go outside, never. I asked her, I said, Mariah, if mommy says yes, would you walk down to the stop sign at the end of the block, which is approximately about 100 meters, because I know 2 laps around the block is 400 meters, right? And Mariah agreed. She said she would. So then I went to mom and I said, oh, Mariah said she would walk with us if we just walk down to the stop sign. No, she don't want to do it. And now the most recent thing that I did was I invested and I got a, and talking about investments, one of the cars that I had, probably the best car I had, was a 1988 Chevrolet Caprice Brome. not the regular Caprice. It was the Brougham, leather seats, automatic everything, fully stocked. The owner lived in Maine. Only drove it to the store and to church. Never saw an inch of snow. Every single winter, it was garage kept. When I bought the car, it had about 4,000 miles. Um, like the plastic linings in the doors and on the trunk, they were all intact. Car was perfectly aligned, no crashes, no rust underneath, no rust anywhere. That car was a diamond in the rough. We went through a lot in that car, actually. There was a time when we were homeless, so Kim, her mother, and I, we lived in the car. And here's a funny story. One time, the manager at Publix just so happened to think that Kim was parked back there because she was conspiring to do some type of robbery to the store. At least that's Kim's version of the story. Okay. From what I heard, I think if I remember correctly, they had gotten into like a scuffle. Like they communicated, and Kim even told her, "Oh no, I'm just parked here because my boyfriend works right around the corner." I was working at the eye doctor's at the time. That's when I had a formal job, right? So McDonald's calls the police. During that time, we were idiots. We didn't know about, or we didn't know, but we didn't practice it to a T. You have the right to refuse to have your car searched unless they have probable cause. And just smelling marijuana is not probable cause. If an officer says he smells marijuana, I don't smell anything. And that's it. You don't smell anything. If he takes it to court and they didn't find anything or whatever, then case is thrown out because that's not enough probable cause. Now, that night, after she had a scuffle with the manager at that McDonald's, the police officer that came and searched the car, he was a very, how do I say it, not obnoxious, but he thought very highly of himself. He would constantly break protocol. When you're a police officer, a lot of the times they want you to wait for a backup officer before you pull a car over, for safety reasons. He would never do that. He would just stop a car. A lot of times he would just stop cars for whatever reasons. Don't get me wrong, he had an outstanding record, but a lot of the times it was because of illegal searches. If the parties that were the defendants, if they were smart and they had good lawyers and they took it to court, this guy probably would have just been discharged or given a desk job. They don't discharge their own. You gotta remember, the police is a gang, and the police is the most close-knit gang that exists out there. If you think the Bloods and the Crips are a gang, the only other gang that might compare to the police are the cartels in Mexico. Those are the only other ones that might compare it to the police. But here in the States, we're at war all the time. We had so much war surplus that what did they decide to do to it? They decided to give it to police departments. So now police departments are armed almost just as if they were enrolled in the military. So basically, we don't even have police anymore. We have military police. All that's missing is just the MP on their shirt. It still says police, but they have everything that's needed just to pretty much start a war. Now, you could say that the head of the police are the politicians. Those would be the guy in the suits that are up there, But even still, the police are supposed to follow the law, but there's a lot of corruption. You know, a lot of these politicians, they steal money, which is okay. You expect all politicians to steal money because power corrupts people. It's just a common fact. But just leave enough money for the people. That's all I ask. Okay? You know, be decent enough to leave enough money so that we can take care of basic necessities. Maybe welfare, social security, certain infrastructures. Even though some are infrastructures, they're all car complacent. You can't get anywhere around here unless you have a car. So good luck with that. You know, the nearest place to my house where I've been applying to, and the reason why I apply there is because it's an 8-minute walk. So if it rains, I can walk with an umbrella, and then I can change my socks and my shoes. I don't have to miss work. I can be serious about going to work and not missing work. Um, there is another plaza that's a little bit closer. It's only about a quarter mile. The one that I'm talking about is about 4/10 of a mile. But the one reason why I want to get the job that's 4/10 of a mile is because it's a privately owned company owned by the employees. So every certain quarter, depending on how many hours you work, they give the employees benefits in the sense of stock ownerships. So now let's say when you're ready to quit, you can cash in your stocks, or if heaven forbid you pass, which at this rate, maybe in about 20 years when I turn 81. But until then, I can bag groceries. I can definitely be a cashier because, money numbers are just like, give me any number, I already know. The easiest one is 41. Quarter, dime, nickel, penny. There's no problem to that. As a matter of fact, there was a job once, they didn't have cameras. I knew all the prices so well that I would just keep the door open when people place their order. I would let them know what the total was. No matter what kind of bill they gave me, I already knew how much change I had to give them. I just didn't give them a receipt. And then I just pocketed the money. I'm not proud of what I did. I was a child. Okay, keep that in mind. And another thing I did when I was a child, and when I mean a child, I mean you're not an adult yet. We used to do a job for this gentleman who worked at a gas station. So he would have us do some jobs that he didn't want to do himself, like take out cartons, for products that had to be put on the shelf, whether it was drinks or alcohol or whatever. But then by the time we were done doing that work for him, he would let us take as many cases of beer as we wanted. So even though I was a child, I was probably 16 already because I think I was driving. Oh yeah, that was the Lincoln Town Car. I gotta go back to Chevy. And oh no, that's not what they call me. I think was it Santa Claus? Oh no, they called me the Ice Cream Man. And all I have to say is that I had found a way to get various goods which were in high demand at the time. And since money, you know, I did it mostly for fun. So I would give, to the people who I thought were my friends. At the end of the day, you realize you have no friends. The only friends you have, mom, dad, and if you're lucky, your children.
As long as
Your
the other half
children will
doesn't
probably
talk bad
become your
about
friend
you.
when they get older, like in their mid-20s, give or take. Anyways, so yeah, they call me the Ice Cream Man. I had a way to get different items, be it electronics or, you know, stuff for the house. And yeah, I would just hand it out to people who wanted whatever. And that gave me the nickname the Ice Cream Man, which is a lot better than another nickname that these girls gave me. These girls, they were the type of girls that I would say I'd have to babysit, because when I was younger, I used to be into young girls, and after a while, it just got tiring because you can only babysit for so long. So I told myself from now on, unless they're like 25, no thank you. I'm tired of babysitting. Anyways, going back to the Chevy, uh, Kim, she does have back pain. She has her scoliosis, and I think allegedly she has uh, some of her spines are, what is it called when the spine is certain areas of the spine are not ruptured, but I forget the name. So, but the problem is that the medication we were getting was from the streets, and when you get medication from the streets, one, the prices are astronomical. Okay, this whatever they're called, that family, they sure made a good lot of money. But I don't know, after the patent sold out, how would they still be making royalties off of OxyContin? But anyways, and so I sold the car so she could see a doctor, and then we could take her to a pharmacy. And I'm expecting, because by this time on the streets, a 30 milligram pill would go for like $30. So stepping back, going back 2 steps before I talk about the doctors, the day that she got into that scuffle with the police officer at Walmart, I was driving the car after I had gotten off of work, and I was being followed by a police officer. I said, "Don't worry about it, it's okay." Because I always get followed by police officers. But for some reason, guess who was following me? The same guy that had the scuffle with Kim. And this time it was a big mistake. Kim had a job interview the following morning, and she could not go to the interview unless she had an opioid in her. Like at that time it was the OxyContin. So that she wouldn't do it, I held it for her. And when the police officer asked if he could search the vehicle, I completely forgot I had it on me. You know, I wasn't thinking. I was holding it on for her, so I had no intention on doing it. I was just saving it for the following day. So yeah, I got a felony because somebody could not go to a job interview without having an opioid in her system. Her mom also went to jail that night. That was pretty cool. I mean, we both got to ride on the wagon, I think, if I remember correctly. But I mean, it's not cool that she went to the police, but it had something to do with like the license, the sticker on the tag, the tag on the plate, something like that. Anyways, so that's what happened with the Chevy. I sold it for about 2,500. I bought it for 4,000. I forget how many miles I put in, but I did put a lot of wear and tear. I crashed it maybe like once or twice. Those cars, it was an '88. They're so durable and they're made out of steel. The only way you could tell it was crashed is if you're a mechanic. When you're a mechanic, you look at the lines, you make sure everything's straight and even, and that's how you know that it wasn't crashed. One time the first time in my life I ever got in a car accident
with another car.
Kim was in the car, her mom was in the back seat, and I guess between the both of them talking, or maybe it was just me, maybe I just distracted my own self. I was in the turning lane to make a left onto Taft Street off of Hiatus. I was heading southbound, but I changed my mind last minute, so I went into the lane that goes straight. But sure enough, there was a brand, like a newer year Toyota Camry, and my car hit that car very, very lightly. But to my car, you literally have to take a finger and point to see the damage that was done. It was barely visible. The Toyota, the newer Toyota, you couldn't even open the car door. They had to get the jaws of
Jaws
steel
of
to open the
life.
car door. That's why I love old cars. They don't make them like they used to. The newer model cars, the only ones that I really have a true appreciation for are the first generation Honda NRX, even though the new generation one is, I believe it's hybrid, so that's pretty cool, or electric, I'm not sure. The Honda S2000, that car is amazing. One time I redlined it. By the time I got to red line on first gear, I was already doing like, I think like 40 or 60 miles an hour. I don't remember. That's when I was doing valet parking. And there's other newer style cars that are pretty good. The Toyota 4Runner is a pretty good vehicle. I think it kind of goes up there with like a Land Rover. What else? A new car. Not that many really. I like the older cars. Most of the cars are okay, but I just like the fact that the older cars, they had better designs, they had better colors. It was a better era. They made a good donut media. Made a good video about how car colors reflect what's going on in society. It's a must watch. I would recommend for you to see it. So, anyways, I've spoken enough. Let me take a look at the photos. All the videos have to be put in the photos, and then I have to go into the. Everybody has an iPhone and makes videos or vlogs like I do. Already knows. I don't have a computer yet. Um, I do want to take classes with Brilliant. I already told my psychiatrist about it. I looked into it. Um, they did have several different courses which seemed interesting. Um, but there are also other online, um, like classes to teach you at your own pace. So I'm gonna take a look at other ones of them, and eventually down the road, I would like to go back, finish my undergrad, and I would like to get a graduate degree. Um, I wanted to do it at first, but then when I saw what it entailed, I did not want to do it. I just thought it was so nasty. I wanted to be a dermatologist. One of the reasons is you set your own schedule. You can get the coveted schedule, you know, 9 to 5, 10 to 5. I would probably make mine like 7 to 7. Uh, Monday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Wednesdays and Saturdays I'd probably work. I don't know, 10 to 1, something like that.
Also, you don't get called in for emergencies.
But I did not like the job after I saw some of the things that they had to do. When people get like warts or they get things on their skins that have to be cut off and this and that, I didn't like it at all. But lately, I've been watching a lot of videos from Tosh.0, which, as the majority of us know, is hosted by Daniel Tosh, a very brilliant comedian. He's brilliant because he has a deadpan style of a comedic performance. As far as intellectualism, there is some intellectualism in his work, but he combines it in a way that is just so stupid that it's funny. Chappelle, I compare Chappelle to George Carlin. They're very both smart individuals, very observant. And of course, if you're talking about black comedians, Eddie Murphy, I don't think is given the credit that he's due. If it wasn't for Eddie Murphy, Saturday Night Live would not be here today. I like Canada, but I get the feeling that Lorne Michaels is racist. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You know, racism is almost a part of culture. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at it, we're all different races. So what I believe is bad is
If you're
when you
prejudiced.
don't tolerate people. What is it called? There's a word for it.
Prejudice.
I forget what the name of it is already, but anyways. So yeah, let's try to see what videos I can splice into this video. And let's just end the video now. Have a good night, everybody. If everybody wants to have successful vows, in case they're ever thinking about marriage, look for love first. The answer is right here, right in front of you. Okay?
God is love.
I used to always see on TV when they would talk about couples getting together, parents would always ask, what religion is she? I never realized how important that was till now. With Kim, the reason why when Kim wanted to get with me, I did not want to get with her at all because I knew she was trouble. As a matter of fact, I avoided her for a while. I was just really friends with Grandma and with Layla. But she was very persistent, and she did a couple of things towards me which, warrant jail time, or at the very least some type of compensation, because I would have to hire a lawyer. Actually, they warrant jail time, sexual assault and then just assault. Even though you could say I assaulted her too. I had a cup of water and I threw water at her. Now what she did to me was a little different. Let's just say it did not involve water. But I learned from it. So I'm glad I brought it up so that I can remember that lesson. And yeah, I taught my daughter today about this because I told her here in the States, the divorce rate out of every 3 couples that get married, 2 end up getting divorced. So I told her to please convert that into not a fraction, but convert that into, decimal point, whatever. It's roughly 0.67. You could say 0.66, but I rounded it up to 0.67. So I said, well, it's 0.67. And then after that, I said to her, okay, well, I gave you that now. So out of 100 couples, how many end up getting divorced? And then she gave me her famous answer. I don't know. So then I went back to her and I said, Mariah, I literally just told you the answer. And then that's when she thought about it for a second and she said, oh, 67 people. I'm like, yes. 6 out of every 100 couples, 67 will get a divorce. And the problem is that the way we are programmed here in the United States of America, one, we're programmed to consume a lot of, fake stuff. Just like the internet's fake, so is television. And so is print media. The only thing that might be factual is maybe journals and books that are written by authors that are usually, professors in their field. Which I've been wanting to read a book about the universe so bad lately, because the last one I read was written in 2007 And so many things have happened since then. And that book that I read in 2007 was fascinating. So, thank you for watching the show. I think I'm gonna go with this title card instead of Nothing to See Here. Because even though there's nothing to see here, I did have a nice conversation with the camera. Being the fact that I really don't have a lot of conversations with people in real life. So, thanks so much for watching, and I hope everybody has a pleasant and wonderful
What's the day off?
Saturday night.
Have a happy Friday night.
Saturday,
Tonight is Friday. Hey guys, I accidentally instead of putting it to the front camera or whatever, I put it to the back camera, but whatever, no big deal. I'm only gonna shoot for like 2 seconds. My buddy's coming by, he's gonna say hello. I say this right now, but I don't know how in the heck I'm gonna edit this video, because there was just scenes that I recorded that I don't know if I should have, and in the order in which I'm gonna put it so it could try to make some sense. And I also wanted to make a show in the beginning that was going to be a show about, you know, positivity and, you know, the things that I really wanted to shoot, but it is what it is. Anyways, I'll see you guys in a second. Some of those shows had to get cut because I don't have enough battery too. Okay, I started a little bit late. I was singing, you know, songs of like canciones de alabanza, songs of worshiping. What I'm doing right now is I'm putting the food away, which she bought. But just a few seconds ago, she was just constantly complaining. And about what? I don't know. Because I started to get into the habit of just not... I don't know if you could hear her in the background. I started getting in the habit of just not listening to her because the majority of the time, it's almost like she's always like in such a miserable mood. And it got me to think as I was singing the songs of glory and worship, and you know, because I do that so that I don't have to hear her, because like I said, it's a trigger, and my job is to try not to get triggered because I don't get that much medication. But as I was singing, one of the verses that I said, it was kind of like a freestyle. Can you hear her? Let's see if we can hear her. Oh my goodness. I was recording and then the damn video, it said low battery. So I didn't record all of it. So it's the second video now that I couldn't get it. So anyways, you heard that last part. She was just yelling at her daughter. And but there's just so much more. What I was trying to say was that as I was singing the song about, worship and gratitude, I said to myself, the only way a person could be that miserable is if they don't have a grateful heart.
That's the only thing I could think of. So I could be completely wrong, but it feels to me like instead of her heart being filled with gratitude, it's almost like it's filled with hate. I mean, like I said, I could be wrong. And also another thing, Miracle's still. Can you hear her? See, she's yelling at somebody right now. And then she says that because I got my medication so that I don't use opioids anymore, which also backs up for pain medication because it works pretty well for that too. But she's yelling at Mariah.
Mariah, why are you doing this? David, get your daughter. When you wanted so bad last night till 7, 8 in the morning. She doesn't know it was daylight when you came in your room and when you finally fell asleep. You're hurting me and you're on me and I want you off.
I have no idea what she's talking about. Yeah, I was up with Mariah all night so that she would not disturb Kim. So I literally stayed up all night, so that Kim would not be upset. And then, like around 4 in the morning, I wanted a pack of cigarettes. I thought it wouldn't take too long, but it took me a little bit longer than I thought. And then, Kim, she's still yelling.
Quick conclusion before the video, this part ends. Walks in the dark.
Oh, this could have happened. But no, nothing. Oh, hold on a second. I gotta turn it off.
Get away from me. I said I need some time for my chest is hurting, Mariah.
My sister had moved to one of the Carolinas, and she offered to buy Mariah a ticket to go visit her. And now Mom is saying that she's not gonna go visit her aunt. And yesterday she was talking about how she has such a special relationship with her, but look how Mariah is treating her. Is that special? I mean, I don't want to make fun or anything because that could be me. That could be anybody. Let me go see what I can do because there's really not much I can do, but there is one thing I can do: the belt. They're still fighting. Let me see if I can get it. What did she do? She threw a charger at you? Alright, Mom. Do you want her in your room or not?
No, I don't want
No, Kim, this is not your room. You know that, right?
Shit, I'm laying down in front of the fan.
Okay.
I just went shopping for her ass, and she's acting
No,
like
no,
that
no,
because
no.
she wants to get her way. And that's how she thinks she's gonna get it. That's the only reason she's doing that, and nobody else is smart enough to see it. She wants to go to Laura.
Kim,
That's why she's doing it.
just last night you told me you had a special relationship with her, so I don't know what happened to that.
Yeah. Just like she has when she wants something. This is what she does.
No, you told me you had a special relationship with her.
No, you no. What the fuck are you talking
You even
about?
said it. You're like, oh, she told
Me
me.
and Mariah have our own relationship besides you. I don't go out and leave her in the middle of the night and do shit like that.
Oh my goodness, it was for 30 minutes,
Yeah, no,
and it
I
just
was
a.
up since 5 o'clock in the morning, and you were not back anytime soon.
Oh my god. All right, so you were up, so that means that's even good.
Or something. You were gone. I went up and down the street looking for you, thinking you went to jail, asking her how long she'd been gone.
I told Mariah where I was
She
going.
said she didn't have any idea.
Mariah, see, I don't know. See what that causes when you say that you don't know?
See, that's the same thing she does to me.
I'm gonna give the belt to Mom because I don't want to be responsible for it anymore.
I think if I'm quiet enough, you can still hear her inside. I think she's talking on the phone. Let's get close to the door to see if we can hear her.
Oh no, no, because you don't give her away. That's not the point. The point is I'm dealing with this and I don't know what to do.
Alright, I'll break it down to you guys. Pretty much what she is doing is she is faulting a child. Okay? Now, children are children. I don't care what nobody says. They can be 10 years old, they can be smart, but they're still children. Okay? And even when they turn 18, you know, some of them, I think there was a country once when when you turn an adult when you're 25, you know, which is actually kind of reasonable. But what she's doing is she's pointing out faults of Mariah. Let's see if you can hear.
I said, why? Because I don't want to get hit. And then I go to sit on one couch because that's where I sleep. They don't have to sleep in the bed.
She's bringing up the fact that one time she sat on the couch where I sleep, and I said, that's where I sleep. Please don't sleep there. And then there was one time when I had just done my laundry, so the couch that the love seat, which I normally don't use, I had folded up my laundry and I put it there, and I was about to put it away where it belongs, in cabinets. Like I have a couple cabinets or whatever, but I didn't have a chance to do that yet. So what she was gonna do is she was gonna move the clothes while it was folded, and she was just gonna put it on the chair which reclines right next to it. Now, when I help her to fold her laundry, which is, you know, quite sometimes, she's never helped me fold my laundry pretty much. Anyways, but when I help her, I have to go through the trouble of learning what each drawer is and where the clothes goes. That way, after I fold it, I put it in there. So not only do I fold it for her, I end up putting it in there for her, and it's pretty much the whole job. But what she wanted to do is just so she can make space to sit in the love seat, which I had told her, please sit in the love seat from now on, because I don't want her sitting on where I sleep. She was just gonna move the folded clothes already to the chair that was next to it, which is a single chair that reclines. You know, it's like a what do you call it? Like a recliner, you know. And I got upset at that. I did yell at her at that time because it really got me upset. I had just finished folding that clothes, and I did not want her touching it, because first of all, she doesn't know where my clothes goes. I wasn't in the mood to explain where it goes, because I did mention this, and I'm only gonna say this. If there's any younger viewers watching right now, or maybe any viewers in their 20s or even 30s, if you're in your teens, get your high school diploma, please. And if you're anytime after that, get your GED. It is priceless, okay? Now, companies want a better piece of paper, you know, when a lot of the stuff, most of the stuff can also be learned on the job, but they want that better piece of paper because it's all part of capitalism. Because you see, when you are when you're applying to become an employee, and they see that you paid that money to get that paper, essentially you stimulated the economy, so that motivates employers to hire you. They don't really care about what you learned. The only thing they care about is how good you're going to do at the job you're applying for, and how good you're going to learn that. What you learn in that either undergrad or that graduate. Well, graduates are important because graduates are jobs that are usually taken seriously. Some of them have internships, so those are a little bit more serious. Some undergrads are also important. I don't know if sports therapist is one of them. But nonetheless, I'm gonna stop talking because maybe right now it said that the battery is low and I've been recording for nothing. But I did charge it for a little bit. I'm gonna go in the backyard, I'm gonna plug it, and I'm gonna use the headphone to talk just in case Mariah decides to let mom back in the room. I don't want to talk and then mom hears and then she gets upset in IRL. She doesn't watch my videos anymore. Thank goodness. You know, like I said, the views, who cares? You know, I mean, of course you care. It's like a dopamine rush. You know, people like, people watch, but at the end of the day, it's not gonna make or break you. Okay, it's not really what matters in life. I mean, to some it does, but that's because that's the world that we've become to know. You know, unfortunately, it's sad. That's why right now for summer, after Kim told me yesterday that she had a special bond with Mariah and she told me about that, it hurt me a little bit. So one of the steps that I took, and I actually did keep this step because it seems like it's an important step, I told her, you're limited to 12 hours of screen time a day, which is already more than enough. Hopefully I'm going to be able to bring that down. And I did try to explain to her that, you know, too much screen time is actually harmful for you. You know, you're not going to be able to just have regular conversations with people. You know, you might be shy about doing it. You might not want to do it at all. You're going to feel uncomfortable looking people in the eyes. Maybe with your hand movements, you're not going to know what to do. So it's just a lot of things. Yes, these things brings us together. Like right now what I'm recording, and if I do edit it, there's a lot of scenes that I shot. I just don't know what order to put them in. If I do edit it, maybe one day after I pass, you know, my daughter can see this and she can see what the situation was at the moment, and where we go from there. Now, just like Lori Rubenstein before me, if I'm able to get my own house and Mariah is living under the roof, this is gonna be how it works. As long as you're living under the roof, you have to get your high school diploma. After that, if you continue your studies, you can stay living here for free. But if you decide to go out and get a job, you have to help out around the house, you know, like with the bills and stuff. So you learn like the responsibility of life and, you know, and stuff like that. But I will give them the choice. Not everybody's meant to go to a college or, you know, or do that. But at the very least, get your high school diploma. I cannot stress that enough. All right. See you in the next scene.